Hello, welcome back to the course. Right, so this session we have is Unit 4D about loan payments, credit cards, and mortgage, right, about those things. Okay, right, so the loan, right, so payments and principal, let's see the first table, right, payments and principal for a 1,200 loan with principal paid off at a constant $200 per month. Right, and we just have 6 months to pay off the loan, right? In the beginning, principal is 1,200, so 2 months, every month pays $200 principal, right? That's for the case, right? 6 of the $200 payments should be enough for the principal, right? But what? We have the interest applied to the principal, right? When you owe money from someone, you need to pay the person interest. Like before previous chapters of investment, since the bank have your money, even though you put the bank into the account, but actually on the bank side, they have your money. So they would need to pay you the interest. And what they do is they use your money to do the investment and earns more yield than what interest they pay you. Right? So that's what happens. And for one case here, what the money can do, right? Or what the bank can do with the money they have is make a loan, right? To lend to someone who needs the such thing like a car loan, right? Auto loan or home mortgage, right? Or home mortgage. But that's some of the case, right? You need to pay the interest rate to the bank. Right, so it looks like 1% for every month they borrow to you, right? They lend to you. You borrow from the bank or wherever it is. Right, so prior balance 1,200 borrowing total. That interest is 1% rate to the principal. That is $12. And the interest you need to pay plus the fixed amount principal you make, that's $212 in total you're making. And the balance is only count down by the principal amount you pay. Right, so the balance now is $1,000 at the end. Right, so then in the beginning of month 2, you have $1,000 in your balance, and the 1% interest rate during the month is applied to that new principal, $1,000. So that's $10 interest. And you're still making towards principal. So in total, you need to pay $210, in which that only $10 is your interest rate and $200 is your principal. Right, then your principal amount will deduct from 1,000 to 800 at the end when you make $210 payments. Right, it only deduct the part the payments toward principal. That's $800. Right, so we keep the same idea. The interest rate is applied to the prior balance, and the principal you make is the same amount, and every month you make is making differently. That's 212, 210, 208, and so on, right? Last month is only $202 you make, and at the end, you pay off the money you borrow. Right, looks like here we have what? $12 plus $10, 8,642. Right? and what we have. $12, $10, $8, $6, $4, and $2. A total $42 you paid for the interest. Right, so interest payment you make for this loan, that is $42 in total. And the principal you make is $1,200. So in total you paid $1,242 to pay off this 6 months loan. Right, but things will be very tricky if you borrow a large amount, like you will like make a list again, right? If we're making a list like that, things is very tricky. Like every month payment will be so different that, well, a lot of people using here what just automatic payment from your checking or usually the checking account, right? From the checking account. So it will be very hard to managing the amount, right? So we should have a formula that pays the fixed amount of total payments, which certain portion goes to principal and other portions goes to the interest. And at the end of certain payments making, you will pay off the principal, right? That is the formula we usually need to find, right? And here again, right, people found the loan payment formula for us, right? For the principal we need to borrow, applies the annual percentage rate, right? That's the interest rate applies. And usually the number of payments period every year, that is monthly payments. Everything should be very familiar to us, right? The principal, the monthly payment, what you need to pay, and the thing so on, right? 1 minus 1 plus APR over N to the negative NY. It just looks very similar as the saving plan we had for the last unit, but just looking a little bit differently. We have a change order and the negative power on this whole thing, right? So that is the formula, right? And what we need to do is just from the question, right? With what we given, what is the starting principal amount borrowed, what is the annual percentage rate usually, and what is the number of payments per year, right? Usually this N is 12 payments, but we need to see, right? The question should be very clear about it. And long term in years, right? Different type of payment, like something like private student loans or auto loan, right? Or some other things. Right, so before, right, the question before was fixed amount of principal. My fixed amount of principal with what 1% every month, that is annual rate 12%, and the long term is a half year, right? So that we make 6 payments in total. But that table we see, right? This table we see is not a fixed amount of total payments. Right? What we here is finding the fixed amount of total payments. Right, so let's highlight. Right, it's monthly payments, $1,200 loan, annual interest rate 12%, and the term is a half year, right? 6 months. So that's all the information. We have want to calculate what the payment. Right, that's principal multiplied by annual percentage rate over N divided by 1 minus 1 plus APR over n to the negative n times y. Right, that is our formula. It's very similar as what we have before. Right, let me have another color to pull out the information. Right, principal is 1200. APR is 12%, right? By this time, 12% you can directly put as 0.12. Monthly payment, so n is 12 for every year, right? But the term of year is only 6 months, right? So that's 1/2 year. Right, so plugging everything. Principal 1200 multiplied by 12% divided by 12, right? I mean, yeah, 12% divided by 12. 1 minus 1 plus 0.12 divided by 12 raised to the power of negative what? If you want to put parentheses, negative 12 terms and 1/2 year, right? Only 1/2 year, 6 months in other words. All right, so if you want, you could calculate the numerator together in one step. Just use the calculator, right? 1200 multiplied by 12% divided by 12. Right, so that is 12 on the numerator. The bottom, if you want, you could calculate the whole pieces on the right, to get the right decimal, right? 1 plus 0.12 divided by 12. Right, and remember here the a raised to the b, you can either find that on your calculator or on your decimals here, right? Raised to the power of negative 12 times 1/2. Right, close it. That's 0.942. 0. Four, 5, 2, 3, 5, 3. Right. And the long decimal, just 1 minus it, right? Still, we're able to copy and paste since we have it on the computer. Right? Paste. All right, so we get 0.057. 9547 647, right? Yeah. All right, then at the end we just have the quotient, right? 12 divided by this whole thing. And that's 2.207.058. In process, it's better to show the work, right? 207.058, or the decimals, I mean, right? 0402. And the monthly payment, you can just round it to the nearest cents, right? That's still money we're dealing with. 207.06, right? 207.06. So that is the simplest application we have. All right, so just pulling out information, right? Again, right, the federal issued student loan will have simple interest before we do this question, right? But some kind of private loan, right? Sometimes the federal loan will not be enough to cover it, right? Like some people go to the private universities or colleges, asks about let's see, 30,000 per semester, right? That's common, 30,000 every semester. But federal or government issued loan can only covers about 10,000, right? Then the remaining 20,000 will be asked from private student loan. Well, we'll do that, right? So the private loan is compound interest, but the government issued loan, they are simple interest, right? So that's a little different. So about private student loan, they're compound interest. So the payment formula will be used that way. For simple interest, that's another big story, right? So it's totally different. So 750 loan in total when you graduate from college, I have that amount. And you need to pay back, right? In 10 years to pay the annual interest rate or it's 9%. And you pay off that loan in 10 years, right? And you want to find, well, how much is the monthly payment? That's one. And also, right, how much will you pay over the lifetime of the loan? The total amount, right, over the lifetime. And also, finding what's the total interest, right? Over the lifetime, that means total payments you make. And originally just making 7,500 loan, right? But after 10 years, by making those APR 9%, we see how much we need to pay. APR 9% looks like not that much, right? But we will see what happens. We will see what happens. Since that rate is applied to the original principal, 9% of 7,500, that is a lot, right? That is already itself is a lot. And you apply it like every term. Right? 9% is annual, but yeah. Right, anyhow, let's see, right? The payment formula. Right, just write down the payment formula, right? APR over N to the negative NY, put N, right, negative NY. All right, so still, now we need to find what is our principal, what is the APR, what is the N, right? Usually the monthly payment they make, right? So 12 payments, and what is year, right? 7,500, 9% monthly payment for 10 years. Okay, so that's all we have, right? 7,500 multiplied by 0.09 over 12, right? Divided by 1 minus to the power of negative 12 times 10. Right? So that's all in total 120 payments made. Right. So let's do the numerator, right? 7,500 times 0.09 divided by 12 times 9% over 12, 56.25. The bottom, 1 plus 0.09 divided by 12, raised to the power of negative 12 times 10, right? Monthly payment, 10 years. 0.40793. 7305. And of course, if you can do 1 minus this number on a calculator, you just could omit this step. Right? 1 minus 0.04079373005. That's 0.59206. 2695. All right, then divide, right? 56.25 divided by this number. That's 95.006. 83032. Right, and monthly payments, that's $95.01. Right, that's the first question. Right, monthly payment is $95.01. So second question, maybe I could use another color, All right. Total payments. Right, total payments, that's monthly payments, $95.01. 12 months for 10 years, right? Intuitively, that's just what it is, right? $95.01, 12 payments, 10 years. That's 11,000. Wow, we can see, right? That's a very huge number. That is $11,401 and 20 cents, right? 0.2, that's 20 cents. And the third question, the total interest you pay, that is what? Total payments, take away the principal, right? Still, we have the original principal, that's 7,500. Oh, we have 3,900. $1 and 2 dice, right? 20 cents. 2 dice. Right, so that is the total interest, right? So 7,500, half of it is what? 3,550, right? Well, half of it, 3,750. And the interest amount you paid, you can see, is even more than half of the what? Half of the principal. Right, that 10 years, 9% accumulating, even though you're paying the fixed amount of payment towards the interest and towards the principal, that is still more than half of the amount is the interest. Right? And of course, intuitively you can see, the more years you borrow, the more interest you're gonna pay. Right? Intuitively, that is true, of course. Right? All right, so the auto loans, you have 2 different loans, right? 2 different options. 2 different options, right? This time we don't have that much space to do, right? So definitely will be very short, right? Just everything $6,000, 3-year 8%. Also another option is 4-year 9%. And another option, well, we have 3, 5-year 10%. Right, the longer term with longer interest rate. Your monthly payment and total interest with each option, right? So each option. So payment, right? We have formula there, payment times APR over N raised to 1 minus what? 1 plus APR over N to the negative NY, right? That's formula. So we have three options, right? The first option, the payment is what? 6,000 times 8%. 8% for 3 years. So that's 36 payments in total. Right? Since we don't have that space, I have to reduce the steps, right? 8%, that's 40 on the numerator. The bottom, 1 plus 8% divided by 12 raised to the negative 3 years payment. 1 minus that. 0.2127. 453701. And 40 divided by this number. Well, we could just round it from our calculator, right? That's $188.02. $188.02. So interest is what? Monthly payment, 12 payments each year, subtract the $6,000 principal, $188.02, 12 payments, 3 cents, and $6,000, that's $768.72. $768.72. Right, so monthly payment $188, and from that the total interest you pay is $768, right? And the second option, we have payment, so what? $6,000 with 4-year loan at 9%. Right. 1 minus 1 plus 9% over 12 to the negative times 4, right? 4-year loan and 9%. 0.09 divided by 12, that is 45. And the bottom, we could just have a number, right? 1 plus 0.09 divided by 12 raised to the negative 12 payments for 4 years, and 1 minus this number. Right, that's 0.30138. $58641. right? And 45 divided by this number, we get $149.31, right? All right. Look like monthly payment makes lower, right? But let's see how much interest is paying. $149.31, 12 payments for 4 years, minus your original. Let's do that. $149.31, 12 payments of 4 years, minus your $6,000 principal. How much you pay? $1,166.88. Okay. So that's the second option give us. And the third option, we have still the same formula, but that is 10%. And 5-year, right? The longer term you have, the higher interest rate you're gonna get, right? Because the bank, they lend you money longer, they'll have larger interest. I mean, larger risk, right? So to deduct that risk, they have to collect higher amount of interest from you, right? That's 12 years, I mean, 5 years, 10%, right? 10%, 5 years of monthly payment, right? So still 12 payments you make each year and 5 years. So that's in total gonna be what? Gonna be whatever, right? 60 payments you will have. So the top 6,000 times 0.1 over 12, that's $50. And the factor we have, 1 plus 0.1 over 12. Oh, wow. Okay. All right, raised to the power of what? Negative 5 years, right? 12 times 5. And one take away this number, 0.392211. 4085. Right, and 50 divided by that, that's $127.48. Right, $127.48. Interest payment is what? Monthly payment, but you have 12 payments a year, that's 5 years, minus your original. Monthly payment, that's $127.48. Have 12 payments, have 5 years. That's $1,648.80. So actually, what do we see? Well, we see that, well, longer term with high interest rate, but what? But the monthly payment getting less and less when you borrow your money longer, right? Even the interest rate also gonna increase, but actually look like the year is a greater factor, right? The longer you borrow the money, the lower the monthly payment will be, right? But when we calculate for the total payments, we find out, well, the interest rate is getting higher, right? Even though you have the lower monthly payment from like $188 for only 3 years borrowing, but $149.31 if you borrow it for 4 years, $127 if you borrow 5 years, right? But look like every month you're paying less. But what? But at the end, the amount more than or exceeding the principal, which is what you're supposed to pay, right? Principal. Then the interest part also is a great difference, almost like $1,000 more, right? From 3 year to 5 year, the total payment you make. So still, right, from the idea we have in the beginning of this chapter, if you are able to afford your monthly cash flow, then to borrow a shorter term of loan will be a benefit, right? Of course, if you have your money needs to do something else, right, that you cannot afford that amount of loan every month, then you can try to see, right? If you have more than 2 options, you can try to see which option will be the most benefit, right? The shorter term you borrow, the less interest in total you're gonna pay. Okay, so that will be the idea, right, of this question. All right, so let's see about the mortgage, right? The mortgage of buying home. All right, seeking a home mortgage, be sure to keep the following consideration in mind as you compare lenders, right? So the interest rate, down payments required for the loan, right? Usually the lower interest rate, the better, right? Down payment, it's up to you, right? If you have money in your pocket, don't worry about that. If you don't, then you need to really see, right, what is the requiring amount of the down payment. Of course, if you're making more down payment, then later on the interest portion you're making less, right? Then closing costs, right? You need to identify all the closing costs, like origination fees, discount points, like they may quote their fees differently, right, by the names, or sometimes one offers one requires the fixed fees, some other requiring the percentage of your money you borrowed, right? Just be careful of all the things they listed. And if you don't know what that means, you best ask the lender, what is that actually? All right, also the fine print, right? The paper print should tells you the prepayment penalty. Like some bank, right, lend you money for 15 years, but they say, well, in the beginning, 5 years, you have to pay the fixed amount we give you. You cannot overpay it. If you overpay it, we will have like certain percentage penalty, right, to prevent you from paying that. We will accept, or we'll take out those type of money out of your principal, right? You pay. Right, so some part of money will be penalty, then you'll not pay off like what you expect, right? So be super careful, right? Some on the paper will not say anything about the penalty, right? But most of them will say about the penalty, so be careful about that. Make the loan more expensive than it seems on the surface, right? So that thing, you need to be very careful, right? Right, so the fees and penalties are also one concern, right? When you compare different lenders. The interest rate also, right? And down payments. Okay, so we have this question about the fixed rate monthly payment. So similar, right? Just the same formula we have, since the loan is also compound interest applies, and you're making usually monthly payments, right? The term is longer for the loan, like 30 years or 15 years usually, home mortgage. But the amount is also usually bigger, right? Have 500,000 to buy a new home, right? To need a loan, you need a loan, right? Bank offers 30-year loan, annual percentage rate at 8%, and want the monthly payments and total interest. All right, so the formula. All right, good. The formula payment, monthly payment, that's principal, the money you borrowed. APR over N, right? 1 minus 1 plus APR over N raised to the negative NY. Right. Before that, right, still things need to be clear. Right, last question, I don't have enough space. This one I do, right? So 500,000, oh, a lot of zeros. 5 zeros, okay. Annual percentage rate. Annual percentage rate. Okay, that's 8%. 12 payments you make, right? Monthly payments since you made it. And that's 30 years, right? 30 years payment. Okay, so very clear. 500,000 0.08 divided by 12. One minus 1 plus 0.08 divided by 12 to the negative power of 12 times 30. Right. So the way to do is same, right? 500,000 times 0.08 divided by 12. That's a lot of other threes, right? 3,000, have how many? 6 more. No matter what that is, right? That's the one shows on our calculator, right? Just record down. And the bottom number, 1 plus 0.08 divided by 12 raised to the negative 12 times 30, right? That's 30-year payment. That's 0.09144. $337,244. All right? So we have whatever it is on the top, divided by the bottom, right? 1 minus the answer, 90855. 66274. 66276. Okay. Divided by this answer here, right? That's 3668.8 total 869. All right. Then finally we can round it, right, to the nearest cent. That's $3,668.82, right? Made each month. Made each month. That's the first question, right? Then the total interest. Will be the amount of total payments that's 12 payments each year. That is 30 years minus the 500,000 payment. I mean principal, right? The loan. 12 payments, 30 years. That's 1 million. Right. 1,320,000. Right. Then when we take it away, that's 820,000. $775.20. Right. So as we see, right, the longer term you make the loan, the higher portion of the interest you pay, right? Since this time it's like more than 1.5 times of your principal gets the loan, right? That's extremely large, right? Look like unbelievable, but that's what it is, right? Okay, and about the closing cost, right? When you borrow money, it has maybe some of the lender will have closing cost. You lend $100,000, 30-year loan, 8%, and you have what? Closing cost of 500 plus 4 points, right? That 4 points means it's 4% of your original principal, right? So I want to find the monthly payments and the closing costs. Right, so monthly payments, it's okay, right? We have done so many of it, right? Principal rate over n divided by 1 minus 1 plus the rate over n to the negative ny, right? 100,000 multiplied by 8% over 12. 1 minus 1 plus 8% over 12 raised to the negative 12 times 30 years payment. Right, that's 600 and following 7 digits decimal, right? Just record down whenever your calculator gives you. Right, 1 minus the number, 0.08 over 12 raised to the power of 360 payments, 9.091443. 7244. It's just like the same number, right, as the last one, since that's 30-year APR 8%. Okay, so difference 9085566. 5566 276, right? 276. Is that right? Yes. Right. So whatever we have here, divided by the last answer we have, 733.7645. 739. $700, 33 and 76 cents. All right. So that is the monthly payment, right? $733.76. And not asking for the interest, not asking for else, but asking for the closing cost. Right. Asking for the total closing cost. Right, what do we have? That's 500 fixed amount plus 4 points. That's 4% of 100,000. 100,000, 4% of it, that's 4,000. So together, that's $4,500 of the closing cost. Right, some other land, I mean, some other lender, right? Or maybe the same lender have other options, gives you like maybe higher amount of the rate, maybe like 8.5% the rate, but say, well, the closing cost will be only $500, right? So you need to be see what is going on, right? Higher interest rate, but the closing cost is lower, right? So you want to see, right? Which means leads to the higher higher monthly payments, right? But if you have enough money, or if you plan to pay off the loan earlier, right? If you want to making a lump sum payment, then to having a less closing cost will actually be beneficial, right? Be beneficial. Since if you're making lump sum payment, that those payment exceeding your interest at that amount will all goes to the principal, right? And let's see how the principal works. Right, like the last question we found out is $733.76, right? That's about $734. Right, so for any month, right, your mortgage during 30-year period, the height of the interest blue portion, right, tells you what the part of your $734 payment going to the interest, right? You can see after the 5 years, right, about 734 minus $100 goes to principal. That's $634 goes to the interest, right? So the earlier the fixed portion you make, right, the higher amount it goes to the interest. But in other words, if you're making money, right, at the year 5, let's say, that 634 is the interest. But in other words, the principal is $100 you make, right? But what? But if you're making a lump sum payment, for instance, like $20,000 of the lump sum, other than the interest, $634 amount of money, right? The rest of your 20,000 will goes all the way to the principal, right? That is a huge portion, right? That will be a huge portion, 734 by 30 years. Right? That will be a huge portion, and the graph will be looking so different. Right? But as we can see, right, for the beginning couple years of the loan payment, most percentage, like here, almost 90% of your payments goes to the interest. Right? Only about 10% of your interest goes to the principal, right? So we can see, right, the early payments on mortgage tend to be almost entirely the interest. The total interest paid on mortgage is often much more than the principal, right? You have that area in blue is much more than the area in red, right? But if, right, you can see on your paper, usually they have penalty for early payments, right? You can also see what the penalty is, right? That's another story. But if you feel you'd like rather to making penalties than making interest, like one-time penalty, then rather paying the interest of that much portion, right? You could do that. And the earlier you pay off your mortgage, like in the 10 years, you pay off maybe your remaining 70% of your remaining principal, right? Then for the remaining portion, that interest payment will be really small, right? So that is also the one you need to consider, right? So when you're buying your home or buying your house or doing any lending, right? Doing any compound interest loan, right? So that thing we need to be careful. All right. So that's everything of this chapter. Okay, so thank you.